2010, I was struggling with homelessness, being kicked out of my home because of me transitioning. And during this time period, around 2010, I was still navigating Pittsburgh to try to find like resources that could allow me to thrive within community instead of continue to survive within the community. And I found nothing that was sustainable, like as sustainable for Black trans women at the time, that could put me in a position to have my own housing, have my own income that was good enough for me to survive, within community. So SisTers PGH started out as a resource provider where I was just in a community. When folks said they needed something, I'd say, go here, or go here, or come here. And if I have something of support, I can help you with that. It started as my apartment. When I first got my first apartment and there were trans folks who didn't have anywhere to live, even though I wasn't allowed all the time to let people live with me, I would just let them come into my place and, pay the bills, rather, which it was mostly sex work that I was paying my bills with. And we needed more than that. And I realized we needed more than that. It couldn't just be my apartment anymore. It had to be something that we could actually be a part of, that could allow us, again, to thrive within the community and to create a space that was safe and brave for trans and non-binary people. So we exclusively serve our transgender and non-binary communities of Pittsburgh and Allegheny County through our community center that we have here, where folks can come utilize our different programs. So our logo for SisTers PGH is a tree, and I did that purposefully to understand the roots and how the roots feed the tree, and how when that tree continues to grow, it branches out into different sectors of the tree. And when I look at SisTers PGH, we didn't have limbs for a while. We just had roots, which was me. But now, through our different programs, we have begun to grow those branches. One of those being Grow to Succeed, which is a program that is ran by Marilyn Blackburn, another Black trans woman that is employed by SisTers PGH. And her program focuses around sobriety for transgender and non-binary people and how to live sober lives. We find ourselves going to try to find sobriety, and it's not safe for us in rehab facilities. Rather, that's a gender-affirming space, or just staff that are not educated on trans people and have not experienced us in this space. But we know it's a need. Because like Marilyn and myself, we come from drug addiction. We also have our TGNC Youth Collective, and what our TGNC Youth Collective does is organizes young TGNC folks in the community to organize around equality, around inadequate medical care, around policies. The TGNC Youth Collective is continuing the nearly decade of organizing and grassroots work that I've been doing, starting our SisTers PGH just like Marcia did, which inspired me to continue moving in this work, and knowing that we can live unapologetic, that we can, break the system, CIS system, and live fruitfully through community that we create. So it's unfortunate that our trans sisters like Marcia and Sylvia aren't here to see, what a lot of us have accomplished, to this day. And even more unfortunate that they left this earth with literally nothing. So to continue that legacy, for them, and to make sure that trans and non-binary people can not only be employed within a trans-led organization, but they can also thrive through a trans-led organization and be able to join society protected and directed in a way that makes sense out of survival. When you bring young folks and give them the tools to be creative and express their art, it's the most beautiful thing in the world, because it also teaches me, it teaches us that the world is changing right before our eyes, and seeing our young folks be able to express themselves not only in the streets, during protests, that expression, but also honing in on how powerful they are in here. And putting them, whether it's on a canvas, whether it's on a CD, whether it's, however, they choose to express their art, it's just something that is so everlasting to our mission. As Sisters PGH, to put trans folks in the positions to thrive and be their best selves. So another branch at Sisters PGH is Brothers PGH, and this is a space that is directed and led by trans masculine folks to build community within the trans masculine community, and to have important conversations around things like fertility, around things like equal access to medical spaces, having the right language in medical spaces, having the right language in spaces that have been so geared to the system of particularly like cis women. So trans women experience a lot of things that cis women do, and to understand, to make it safer for trans men in these spaces, we need to really take off the female gender roles that are at play in these spaces. So that's a huge reason, why Brothers PGH is here to create that, while also providing tangible resources for trans masculine folks who need resources as well, and can access the same resources through Sisters PGH that we offer. But it was very, very important that we had the representatives of the community lead the conversation. I thought, and we think, it would have, I can't lead that conversation. I'm a trans woman, I can't lead that conversation. That's not a conversation for me. What I can do is learn. What I also can do is create this space where, or not create this space, but have this space that trans masculine folks can thrive as well. We found that drug addiction really spiked during the pandemic. And not only did it spike those who were wanting to get off of drugs, specifically trans people, didn't have anywhere to go. Grow to Succeed came along, Marilyn came along, like our blessing, who started Grow to Succeed. And we have been serving trans folks suffering from addiction, and creating spaces for them to have virtual groups, creating spaces for them to have in-person groups, resources that they would need, a voice at a rehab they may currently be at, so they know they're not alone, and there are people here that have these same experiences as far as gender, as far as drug addiction, all these things.
What were some particular challenges of getting Grow to Succeed up and running during COVID?
Having people come together was a huge barrier, because, when you're coming out of addiction, you need to be around folks that inspire you to stay clean. You need to be around folks that empower you to continue sobriety. And so I think that was like the toughest thing. And then transferring things over to virtual, because a lot of folks we were serving didn't have access to a laptop or a phone to get on a Zoom call, or so those were some tough areas. We run an alternative pride at Sisters PGH that we have since 2017, which has normally been outside. But this year, our TLGBTQ community was the utmost important during this pandemic, because our community can be the most affected by COVID-19. So we thought it would be a lot smarter to convene a virtual space for people to be able to still enjoy Pride, understand the history of Pride, and understand the resources that are in community during a pandemic, because it's hard to try to access different spaces, let alone being trans and Black, but understanding that this space that we're creating, these folks that we have in here, you can trust them. We've vetted them. We've sat down with them and talked to them. We've talked to them about their trans competence. We've talked to them about safety. We've talked to them about barriers that trans people exist within spaces, how to train your employees. So these people that we have within this Pride virtual space and Pride spaces moving forward will be able to be an access for people within the community. It was a learning curve to take Pride, which we usually had, our parade and our music festival vendors, but to scale that down into a virtual space. But what that actually did, it opened our Pride up to people around the world. People around the world were able to join in on our Pride. And when I was looking at the numbers after our virtual Pride space had closed out, we had reached millions of people who came into the virtual space to check out the different organizations that we have in Pittsburgh, to check out what we do at SisTers PGH. We get contributions from people all over the world. The reality of that was just magical. It was just magical.
With more funding, what do you think that you guys would do with Grow to Succeed?
We would open up a rehab center and we would hire staff that are adequate to serve our community through training them, us training them to be trans competent, specifically around trans competency, but to have them come in with the experiences of also how to work within a rehab facility that is specifically for trans and non-binary people. So yeah, that's a huge goal of ours.
Pie in the sky.
Yeah.
You get as much money as you could ever dream of. Like, what are you doing? You're building a rehab facility.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're training people to be there.
Yep.
What else?
Buying more homes. I want to buy homes all over Pennsylvania, not just in Pittsburgh. I want to branch SisTers PGH out to counties, to different cities. I've already had this conversation with different community leaders, starting different branches of SisTers PGH, like SisTers Philly, for example. That's already on paper and in the works, and developing leadership and having a space down there for that. But that's what I would continue doing. I would get a space like this, a community center, and a few homes in each of those counties or cities within Pennsylvania, and continue broadening it around. So if I had the coins, that's what we would be doing.
And that's what we're gonna keep doing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still, thriving. Yeah, we're thriving. We are. And this space is a testament of that. That we are thriving. So,
Makes me very proud.
makes me proud too.